You are watching DD The Defense Dynamics. I am Danveer from New Delhi, connecting to our viewers from India and around the world. India successfully tests its ballistic missile defense shield. What does that mean? Why is it so essential for a country like India, an important regional power in the multipolar world? And for India, how does this alter the dynamics of defense as a regional power? On the other side of the globe, Germany and Britain are teaming up on defense as fears grow of a likelihood of Trump ditching Ukraine in case he wins US presidential elections. There on the battlefield of Ukraine, it is the drones that are scripting the future face of wars. India takes the cue and builds its own drone and robot army. India on 24th of July successfully flight tested the second phase of its ballistic missile defense shield, demonstrating homegrown capabilities to defend against hostile missiles having a range of over 5,000 kilometers. The flight test fully met all the trial objectives, validating complete network-centric warfare weapon systems. The missile was tested at the Integrated Test Site range. India's Defense Minister, Mr. Rajnath Singh, complimented the Defense Research and Development Organization, the DRDO, for successful flight test and stated that this test has again demonstrated India's ballistic missile defense capabilities.
These are long-range missiles. Long-range in layman terms, although otherwise they are subdivided in three parts: short range, medium range, long range, intermediate range, and intercontinental range. A ballistic missile is fundamentally a missile which, once launched, follows a ballistic trajectory, which is in the shape of a parabola, and hits the target. Once the enemy has fired a ballistic missile towards you, your endeavor is to destroy that missile in air before it hits its intended target.
India's Defense Research and Development Organization announced that India has successfully flight tested Phase 2 ballistic missile defense system on July 24th. The target missile was launched at 1620 hours, mimicking an adversary ballistic missile attack, which was detected by weapon system radars deployed on land and at sea and activated the interceptor system. Moment the sensor radars detected this incoming missile attack, a Phase 2 AD endo-atmospheric missile was launched from the Integrated Test Range at Chandipur at 1624 hours. The Phase 2 AD endo-atmospheric missile is an indigenously developed two-stage solid-propelled ground-launched missile system meant for neutralizing many types of enemy ballistic missile threats in the altitude bracket of endo to low exo-atmospheric regions. And on the contrary, exo-atmospheric missiles are capable of completing missions in the uppermost region of Earth's atmosphere. The endo-atmospheric missiles are the ones that operate within the Earth's atmosphere that cover an altitude bracket of endo to low exo-atmospheric regions. The Indian Defense Ministry has claimed that the flight test met all the trial objectives, validating a complete network-centric weapon system consisting of long-range sensors, low-latency communication system, and advanced interceptor missiles. The ministry in a statement said, the test has demonstrated nation's indigenous capability to defend against the ballistic missiles of 5,000 kilometers class. The performance of the missile was monitored from the flight data captured by tracking instruments like electro-optical systems, radars, and telemetry stations deployed by ITR Chandipur, and also from various locations including on-board missile tracking ships.
This becomes important in view of the latest warfare techniques which you have recently seen, whether it is the Russia-Ukraine war or Israel-Gaza war. In both the places, we have seen the extensive use of missiles by the both sides and need for anti-missile defense system. While India has offensive missiles, but at the same time, there is a need to have anti-missile defense systems.
Ballistic missile defense or the BMD capabilities are essential in modern warfare as they can destroy, intercept the incoming hostile aerial targets like drones, fighter jets, and more importantly, ballistics and the cruise missiles. The ballistic missiles can deliver tons of conventional and non-conventional, that is, nuclear warheads directly on the enemy territory, and that too with a very high speed, within minutes and with very great precision. Therefore, having such missiles and their countermeasures in national defense arsenal forms an important part of deterrence. While nuclear weapons and their delivery platforms serve the purpose of deterrence, BMD capabilities thus serve the purpose of self-defense and maintaining a balance of power. BMD systems hence are essential to defend national territory and important locations from incoming enemy aerial attacks.
Ballistic missile defense is extremely important as far as the defense of India is concerned, because we have two major adversaries around us, Pakistan and China, and both of them have advanced ballistic missile technology. Pakistan itself, with the help of China and North Korea, as we are all aware, has developed a series of missiles, short range, medium range, and at this moment, Pakistan has the capability to hit even the eastern sector. Similarly, China, we are all aware, it has got ICBMs and all kinds of missiles. So basically, India faces a very, very credible threat from ballistic missiles from our adversaries.
In the year 2000, the then Indian government under Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee sanctioned the development of India's BDM program. In 2002, the United States had put diplomatic pressure on Israel, which prevented the latter from selling its Arrow air defense missile system to India. The American officials argued that the sale would violate the Missile Technology Control Regime guidelines. This boosted the political resolve in India to develop a fully indigenous BMD capability, and by 2009, India had developed its short-range air defense missile system that was named Akash and deployed by the Indian Air Force. Considering the ballistic missile threat from Pakistan and People's Republic of China, India's ballistic missile defense or the BMD was planned as a double-layer system consisting of land and sea-based interceptor missiles. The first layer, named Prithvi Air Defense or PADS, and the second layer, named Advanced Air Defense or AAD. The PAD is used for high-altitude interception and the AAD takes care of low-altitude interceptions. Both the layers are supported by tracking stations, radars, and command and control posts. As on date, only 5 countries have such BMD systems, that includes US, Russia, China, Israel, and now India. India has achieved a good amount of self-reliance in BMD by developing and testing missiles like Prithvi, Akash, long-range surface-to-air missiles, quick reaction surface-to-air missiles, and medium-range surface-to-air missiles. These interceptor missiles, their related infrastructure, and other assets form basis of India's BMD program. India has also established a nuclear triad, that is, land, air, and sea capability to launch nuclear weapons. Thus, the acquisition of a well-developed BMD system complements the nuclear triad and has established India as a force to be reckoned with globally.
India's BMD shield is basically a two-layered system that takes care of incoming hostile enemy aerial targets from a range of around 30 kilometers till 5,000 kilometers. When we talk of intercontinental ballistic missiles with ranges of over 5,000 kilometers, we have to understand that these are two-stage rocket systems with a nuclear warhead at the tip. When we look at this image that is being flashed right behind me, you can see that the trajectory has three phases. The first phase of trajectory is the boost phase, followed by the mid-course phase, and finally the terminal phase. In the boost phase, the rocket propels and crosses the atmosphere into the space. And then in the mid-course, the warhead travels in the space and re-enters into the atmosphere in the terminal stage.
Presently, India has the BMD systems needed to destroy incoming hostile missiles in the mid-course and the terminal phases. Indian scientists are working to further develop these systems to destroy the hostile missiles during the boost phase itself. That requires a long-range interception, tracking, and sophisticated advanced warning capabilities. The land-based BMD systems have been fully developed locally and tested multiple times over the last 20 years. The sea-based system testing happened in April 2023 with all parameters successfully met. The double-layered BMD shield has the first and the second layer. The first layer of the BMD shield is based on Prithvi Air Defense System. This system is developed to destroy incoming missiles at high altitude ranges. Various publicly available sources mention that the altitudinal range is around 50 to 80 kilometers. India has plans to extend this pad capability beyond 180 kilometers, that is for incoming targets both in exo and endo atmospheric zones. The second layer of Indian BMD system, that is AAD, is developed for lower altitude interception up to 15 to 20 kilometers. Now with this latest test on July 24th, it makes India achieve comprehensive ballistic missile defense shield of its own.
There is a lot of focus on hitting the enemy without entering the enemy's territory. And in that scenario, it is ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and drones, which most of the advanced militaries are relying upon. So same is the case with us. Both our adversaries have advanced ballistic missile capabilities, and if we don't have a credible ballistic missile defense, it becomes very easy for them to hit us wherever they want without even facing our formidable armed forces. That means without even crossing the border.
Now moving on to our next story that is coming from Europe. Europe's two largest donors of military aid to Ukraine, Germany and Britain, are budding up in a defense pact as fears grow that victory for Donald Trump in November's US elections could spell disaster for European security.
The concerns that Washington could dramatically rein in support for Ukraine next year have only increased since Republican candidate Trump picked J.D. Vance as his running mate. Vance repeatedly stresses his opposition to US writing what he has called blank checks to help Kyiv fight off the Russian invasion. On the other side of Atlantic, Britain is a stalwart supporter of Ukraine, and that will continue under its new centre-left Labour government, under Prime Ministership of Keir Starmer, which has won a landslide election this month. We fight together, we train together, we drink beer together, Haley, the Britain's Secretary of State of Defense, said during a press conference on July 24th, alongside Germany's Federal Minister of Defense, Boris Pistorius, in Berlin. The deal commits both sides to ramp up industrial coordination and joint operations between the British and the German troops doing training together. These visits send a clear message that European security will be this government's first foreign and defense priority, Haley said in his statement.
We
want to strengthen our arms industry, Pistorius said, standing next to Haley. We want to work more closely together in development, production and procurement of weapons and ammunition. While the deal won't mark an immediate sea change in relations between the two armies and defense ministries, However, it does commit both sides to start standardizing their weapon systems and the ammunition. The war in Ukraine and the differences in weaponry donated to the war-torn country has underscored the extent to which European defense industry is fractured. That's what has prompted the continent's big players to pledge to work more closely together, with the new British government indicating that it is willing to plug directly into those programs in the UK's parliament. The United Kingdom and Germany are the top two European contributors to Ukraine when it comes to military aid and the biggest outright spender on defense, committing 74.9 billion euros and 66.8 billion euros respectively in 2023. 3 weeks into his tenure as minister, Haley said the new pact will kickstart a deep new defense relationship. The United Kingdom Defense Ministry said the objectives have been set out in joint declaration of July the 24th, include strengthening of United Kingdom and German defense industry, reinforcing Euro-Atlantic security, improving the efficiency of joint operations, confronting evolving security challenges such as the cyber domain, and supporting Ukraine.
What the European countries want to do is they want to Trump-proof their defense and their security. Because what Mr. Trump had mentioned, the manner in which he had treated NATO, he'd called it obsolete, he'd called it that this was not functioning, it was not working. The threats that he had given to the NATO countries, European countries, that they must pay up their share 2% of the GDP if they want to get the benefits of security, and particularly as far as the United States is concerned, the help and the support from the United States, then they must pay up. And he was pressurizing and pushing in a very aggressive manner. So I think that has left a very unhappy memory as far as many of the European countries are concerned, particularly the larger European countries that you mentioned, Germany, France, UK.
This means there is a likelihood of major disruption in Europe and related geopolitics. What shape will it gather? We'll have to wait till November this year. However, as a military watcher, it is the evolution of battlefield in Ukraine that interests me more. The war headlines would make you conclude that age of killer robots has arrived. In Ukraine, autonomous drones, swarms, are hunting for enemy and independently deciding what and when and whom to attack. Because Ukraine and Russia are employing many different types of drones which are omnipresent over the front lines, some observers have concluded that drones have fundamentally changed the characteristic of war.
Yes, drones can be used at every level, like the US Predator Zone drones, Global Hawk, which actually is used for complete global domination. US sitting in California was controlling drones all over Afghanistan. The strategic drones has given tremendous reach and precision. You can take out selective targets in the enemy territory, and that enemy could be anywhere. So even if the country is not enemy, if you want to target a single person, which US has done in Iran and other places, you want to take out a single person, a very, very strategic target anywhere in the world, with the minimum collateral damage and minimum risk to yourself. That is the strategic use.
Drones are changing how Ukraine and Russian troops fight at tactical level and will impact all future battlefields. Drones have indeed transformed the battlefield in Ukraine by providing accessible and affordable capabilities at a scale that did not previously exist. They are making it difficult to concentrate forces, achieve surprise, and conduct offensive operations. While drones are not more survivable than crewed aircrafts, they, however, enable greater risk acceptance. Moreover, drones do not have to be survivable. They have to be cheap, and in plentiful, and that they are. They can achieve resiliency by reconstitution. Nevertheless, the overall impact of drone has been more evolutionary than revolutionary. Drones connected to ground-based fire units have made common artillery shell more precise. The first-person view Kamikaze drones can actually hit mobile targets, making the front lines even more lethal. Nevertheless, even large number of small drones cannot match the potency of volume of artillery fire. While drones provide affordable air power, they have not replaced traditional air force, nor they have been able to obtain air superiority.
Operational level, deep inside the enemy territory, like the Ukraine and Russia, from Ukraine they are hitting Moscow and other targets which are like within their operational zone. And at a tactical level, even at a small section level or a special forces troop level, squad level, the small miniature drones are being used right now for reconnaissance. Before even if you want to enter a building, you know there is a building where the militants are. So you enter a very, very small dragonfly kind of a drone and it gives you the picture exactly where the militants are hiding. So you can pinpoint your application of force at that particular point. So hence drone usage varies from strategic level down to tactical level. At every stage one can use drones.
Whatever may be the argument, the fact of the matter is that future wars will be won by nations with most effective drones. Swarm drones, autonomous targeting drones, remotely piloted vehicles, and underwater submersible drones. These are the new faces of this disruptive technology. In the region of Middle East to Indo-Pacific, US, Israel, Iran, India, and China are major powers developing these drones. And amongst these, India is emerging as a major drone power.
What makes India take a major lead are its projects to do with unmanned capabilities with strategic bearings. Autonomous Flying Wing Technology Demonstrator and Indigenous High-Speed Flying Wing Unmanned Aerial Vehicle has been tested from Aeronautical Test Range Chitraguda in Karnataka. This technology demonstrator has been developed for India's secretive stealth combat drone called the Ghatak. The Hindustan Aeronautics Limited is on track to conduct flight testing of a Loyal Wingman program by 2024. The project is known as Combat Air Teaming System or CATS Warrior, which began in 2018 and was unveiled at Aero India show in 2021. The CATS Warriors will include a manned fighter aircraft that will serve as a systems mothership. There will be swarm of UAVs and UCAVs that will be controlled by the mothership. The CATS Warrior will be one of the UCAVs or loyal wingman of this whole system.
That means the mother ship can stay airborne with man on board, and the wingmans, the loyal wingmans that is this called, the wingmans can penetrate into the enemy area and create havoc and come back.
India has launched an extra large unmanned underwater vehicle known as XLUUV project. The Indian Navy is interested in procuring up to 12 XLUUVs. The prototype is expected to be ready by 2025. This vehicle is likely to have a payload capacity of 10 tons and is to be armed with two 533 mm torpedo tubes along with the mine-laying capability. This unmanned submarine could have a maximum speed of 8 knots and cruise speed of 4 knots. It is expected to have an endurance of 45 days using either LiPo or Li-ion batteries or a fuel cell based on air-independent propulsion system as the power source. Indian Army has received the first batch of suicide drones called Nagastra-1, which can strike enemy training camps and launch pads in border areas with precision and save soldiers' lives. Nagastra 1 is a type of loitering munition where the aerial weapon is designed with an inbuilt warhead designed to loiter around an area until a target is located and then it crashes into it with high explosive. These indigenously developed drones offer more selective targeting as the attack can be changed mid-flight or even aborted. In a Kamikaze mode, the drone can neutralize any threat with GPS-enabled precision strike with an accuracy of 2 meters. Weighing around 9 kgs, the fixed-wing electric unmanned aerial vehicle has an endurance of 30 minutes, a man-in-loop range of 15 kilometers, and an autonomous mode range of 30 kilometers. It can apparently carry a 1 kg warhead up to a range of 15 kilometers, and an upgraded version can carry 2.2 kgs of warhead up to a distance of 30 kilometers. In case a target is not detected or if the mission is aborted, suicide drone can be called back and make a soft landing with a parachute recovery mechanism and can be reused multiple times. Another fascinating story in the domain of drones and robotics is that of replacement of the sturdy, sure-footed mules of the Indian Army. These mules have been transporting crucial loads to forward border posts through treacherous routes under extreme weather and terrain conditions for over a century. But now, with the advent of technology, they are slowly but steadily marching into history. The Army is progressively inducting logistic drones, robotic mules, all-terrain vehicles, and rough terrain vehicles in conjunction with improvement in border infrastructure and better last-mile connectivity to replace the existing animal transport fleet.
Nowadays, these logistic drones with a high payload capacity and capability is going to be a tremendous game changer. You know, we don't have to depend on the mules and the other logistics that goes with maintaining mules. We are all aware, after all, it's an animal and it has its limitation. And basically, their safekeeping, their logistics, their food, and their survivability in an adverse weather situation. Whereas these robotic mules, they do not suffer those kind of limitations.
Emerging and disruptive technologies are fast changing the world around us. In the battle space, the weapons are getting smaller and smaller with longer ranges, having great precision with deadly destructive impact. Network centricity, AI-enabled decision-making, and remote control are the new tools of future warfare. With this, we come to the end of this episode, but before we go, here is my take. India's Prime Minister's famous word when he said, "This is not an era of war, but one of dialogue and diplomacy."
As I have said directly and publicly, this is not an era of war, but it is one of dialogue and diplomacy.
Unfortunately, not everyone believes in this. There are rogue ideologies that want war and constantly are looking for opportunities of expansionism and altering the boundaries. To deter such devious forces, a country like India has no choice but to develop its military capabilities as a deterrence, to deploy its anti-ballistic missile deterrence and deny her enemies nuclear blackmails and threats. India's desire for world peace is best served by her policy of strategic autonomy, and it is for this reason why India's Prime Minister is welcome in Moscow and in the Kyiv. The reason why India is the hope for peace in war-ravaged Europe. See you next week with new stories and their analysis. Thanks for watching, and do post your comments on social media with #DD with Danveer. Goodbye and take care.